It is Benedictum right here on your classic metal show with Obey, and kicking off the show tonight, we heard something from a Stephen Pearcy project known as Arcade, which also featured Fred Corey of Cinderella, and we heard Got Nothing to Lose, and a guy who has nothing to lose is my friend and partner, Chris Aiken. What's going on, Chris?
Just rock, dude. That was a fucking killer start.
You like that?
Two tunes that I like. Dude, I am A, buzzed, and B, just completely fucking amped about talking to the Dominatrix. I mean, Veronica and Joel and Steven tonight.
Right, exactly. So it's going to be a good show. I mean, as of, at least for the last year and a half to almost 2 years, we haven't really done a ton of guests.
Right.
And, tonight we've got 3. So it's going to be kind of a different thing for us to have guests on the show, but they're 3 very worthy guests. So, and it's, it's the return of the V, it's the return of Stephen Pearcy, and it's the return of Joel MacGyver, all 3 great guests.
I can't wait, dude. I have been amped up all afternoon. What's funny is you and I were doing some testing and whatnot earlier, and we did half a show, just fucking around, and I have not stopped being amped since then. That was at what, noon?
Yeah, it was noon.
It was at noon, and now it's fucking 9 o'clock, and I'm like still fucking shaking, ready to go.
All right, well, I think probably you could attribute some of that to probably feeling better.
Yes, I do feel a lot better today. I still got this fucking cold. Whatever this ick is that's going around, it's not leaving me completely, but yeah, I feel good. My voice is here. I'm not having to be quiet for days on end so that I can do 6 hours a show. So, yeah, I do feel a lot better. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we had a good test today. I think the equipment is sounding great. What do you think?
It sounds good to me. Yeah. How did my mic sound when we first started?
You sounded perfect.
Then we're good.
All right. So, I did some upgrades. I've been talking about it on the show here, well, at least since the beginning of the year, and I pulled the trigger and, spent some coin and bought a brand new mixing board for the CMS studio. I bought you some equipment, upgraded some stuff. I think, the 21st year, since our audience is growing, I think we need to sound the best as we can possibly sound and give the fans a quality show every single week.
Well, let's hope they appreciate it, these fucking cheap fucks.
Yeah. So anyway, we are back here on the Classic Metal Show. The V is texting me
with her big nipples, fucking laying those. How many words do you think Veronica could type if she took off her bra and just fucking stuck a phone on the table and just kind of shook her tits?
I bet you just by chance, within 24 shakes, she could spell 10 words.
That's what I think too. I think she would definitely score some actual words. They might not be, jizz bucket or whatever, but they might be like to and stuff. Those boobs of hers are fucking spectacular.
Yeah, she's got big boobs.
Those are, dude. When I met her, I swear to God, she's a fairly tan girl. For people that don't know, she's a darker girl.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll bet you anything, the tops of her feet look fucking
bleached.
So white.
They're bleached.
They look bleached because they've never seen sunlight.
Exactly. But wow. Well, anyway, I'm looking forward to the show tonight. I'm looking forward to having Steven on, since everybody's been jumping up and down about the whole rat thing. It's all about rat. And,
is that a story?
Yeah, I think that's a story. I think that's been an ongoing story for at least the last year.
Are people interested in that?
I think they might have just a wee bit of interest in that.
And they listen to us for that information for some reason.
I'm thinking that might be the case. So, anyway, we're going to have Steven on the show tonight. Of course, we just talked about the V. Yep. She's got something going on. She wants to send over a rough mix of some music she's doing, and she's got some side thing that she's got going on, and she wants to just basically revisit the show, because it really has been a while since she's been on the show.
How long do you think it's been?
It's been at least a year.
All right.
I think it's been at least a year.
Those boobs are so large, it only seems like 6 months.
Right. No, I think that let's see. I was in NAMM last year.
Yeah.
And I missed her by, I don't know. She was there, and then she was having some back issues or something, and
Right.
so she I don't know if she went to somebody's house or went to a hotel or something, but I missed her, so I didn't get to see her. I don't think we had her on since then, so it's been a year because I'm going to NAMM this week.
Wow. That's amazing that it's been that long.
Yeah. So then we're having author Joel MacGyver come on the show, and he's going to talk about his new book, The Black Sabbath, The History of Black Sabbath.
Yes.
So, Joel is a writing machine, and he always seems to be churning out really good books on a lot of great subject material. And, Black Sabbath supposedly coming to the end of their road, and this book kind of corresponds with that.
It's a great book, too. I know you haven't seen it yet. I'm holding this one here for you so that whenever I do see you, I'm going to trade it for sound equipment.
There you go.
But it's a stellar book, and I think the fans know me well enough to know that I wouldn't fucking lie about it, It is great. This, especially for you, because you have that coffee table there in the studio by the couch.
Mm-hmm.
This is a coffee table book, if ever
good.
there's been one. Great stories, but awesome photos, too.
Sure.
It's a killer book, man.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it and reading it.
It's well worth the wait.
All right, excellent. So we do have a busy show tonight, so I hope everybody sticks around for the duration because this is going to definitely take us all night long. And if you are listening to the Classic Metal Show live, I see that we got a couple of new chatters in the chat room tonight. So I want to say hello to CJ, who said, I'm going to assume it's a guy.
Mm-hmm.
CJ, what can you gather from that? But he says he's been listening to the podcast and is joining us in the chat room tonight. So welcome to the chat room, new chatters.
Yeah, welcome, fuckies.
Yeah, so how do you get in that chat room? Well, we have a chat website set up. It's Chat and Kill. Just spell that out, chatandkill.com. And sign in there with any of your social media if you belong to any social media, anywhere from Google Plus to Facebook, Twitter, Chatwing, blah, blah, blah. Whatever social media, this thing is set up to accept your social media ID and password, and you can jump in there and be a part of the nonsense and the insanity that goes on there every week.
There's already a lot of big tits jumping around in that chat room.
I'm sure there are. I'm sure there are.
You mentioned boobs, and the fans cannot wait to show what they've seen.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, join us in the chat room. Be a part of it if you've never been in there before, and see what kind of craziness goes on.
Right.
All right. You sent over an email that you said needs to be answered in this first segment.
I just think that, guy asked an honest question. I think it's a fair question, and I think it's one that we both have an answer to. That's why I sent it to you.
All right. It says, "Hey guys, I'm sure that this is not the place to ask this question, but I like that prefacing.
Yeah, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Firstly, thank you if you have a chance to play my request. Second, I consider myself a slightly intelligent person, but as a somewhat new listener, I am confused about the times you talk about black people and the N-word is used, the N-word.
The N-word, easy.
Yes. Usually I'm pretty good at picking up sarcasm, but have trouble with Neely and Chris.
All right.
All right. Is this talk for real, or is it a piss on people who really are racist and use the N-word as part of their daily vernacular?
Yeah.
Is it somewhere in the middle where some stereotypes ring true? It's not a deal breaker for listening to the show, or not. Not that I would be missed if I were not to listen, but it would put the show in a better context for me as far as who I am actually listening to as people. Delusion of Eddie Trunk clip on the YouTube is the best radio I have heard in years, by the way. Wow, what have you been listening to? Anyway, if you have the time to respond, that would be greatly appreciated, and I hope you understand the new listener. This might be a little confusing for us. Take care, David in Canada.
All right.
All right, David in Canada. Well, I'm going to give you my perspective as to why we cover these stories so often.
Sure.
Number one, mostly since the current commander-in-chief has been in office, racism in this country, or maybe even in the world, has had a spotlight shown on it. And in my opinion, I can't answer for Chris, but I'm going to give you my opinion.
Okay.
In my opinion, I think that there's a lot of false outrage over racism, and I think that a lot of people are always just looking to be offended, and they're looking to be, castigated in some way. So a lot of the time when I pick these stories, number one, I like to put a spotlight on how ridiculous racism or perceived racism is, and number two, how harmless words are and how much emphasis people put on words that if you don't pay any attention to them, they mean nothing. So using the N word, and I'm going to say it, saying nigger out loud as a white guy. Yeah, I said it. I said it.
You just crossed my line, pal.
Yeah. It's pointless because if you give it no weight, it's harmless. Mm-hmm. It's only when you give it the attention and the weight that people think it deserves, then it's an issue. So the reason I bring those stories to the table is number one, it is ridiculous. Number two, racism is a little overblown. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I'm saying that the stories that the media key in on week after week after week just basically exacerbates the problem if there is one. And we like to just make fun of it. So that's my take. Now I'll let Chris give his thoughts.
Mine's a lot less detailed and deep as that.
All right.
Simply put, I will not be intimidated from saying anything ever. I don't care. I don't care. If you don't like the word nigger, don't listen to the show. If you don't like the word cunt, don't listen to the show. If you don't like the word fucking, sand monkey, don't fucking listen to the show. It's that simple. I'm never going to be fucking told what I can and can't say. And, my actions toward black people, Muslims, Indians, whatever, my actions speak for themselves. I don't need fucking anybody's approval on what comes out of my mouth. I don't care. Simple as that.
Well, I too don't care, obviously, but when it's an interactive show, as we are on Saturdays, where there's a lot of people who listen live or participate in the chat room and whatnot, it kind of, in my opinion, it kind of makes fun of the whole outrage and the false outrage and the pent up aggression that people think that they should display if, God forbid, somebody were to do anything that's perceived as being racist, for Christ's sakes. Mm-hmm. My opinion has always been, if you behave yourself and you act right, no matter what your nationality, color, background is, most people will just accept you for who you are. It's only when you act out that it becomes a problem.
And let's be honest, seeing people shiver when they hear a word that they think crosses their quote-unquote line is funny.
I agree.
It is funny. I love when we say something that we're not supposed to in most people's fucking, theory of what we're supposed to do. I love when we do that and they're upset. Yeah. That's fine with me. That's the best.
I agree. So that's the reason we do it, David, in Canada, and I hope that answers your question. But yes, it is sarcasm in some regard. It's making fun of the silliness that people has perceived in racism, and to show you that you, by your reaction to it, you're the one who empowers it or depowers it, if that's even a word.
Right.
So that's it. Period.
That's it.
But I appreciate you listening, David. I hope you continue listening. And yes, you would be missed if you stopped listening, because we're working our way to 3 million downloads by June.
2.5, baby. How crazy is that?
I know, it's rolling, man. It's rolling. I did the numbers the other day because we did cross the 2 million mark August 17th of 2016. and we're doing an average of 3,400 downloads a day.
Ooh,
every day. 3,400 downloads a day
of this bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. So for whatever reason, we've struck a chord with listeners, and they want to hear what we have to say for whatever reason.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it, people. Keep listening.
Sure. Hail and kill, caller, you're on the air. Hail and kill, caller, you're on the air.
Thank you so much for calling.
All right. Guess they don't want to talk.
All right. Thanks for calling, friend.
All right. So anyway, where do you want to go from here? We got Joel MacGyver coming up in about 25 minutes.
Sure.
So what's on your mind, Mr. Aiken?
Not a lot, man. Just been working a lot. Just been, I did go on a first date this week.
Oh, you did?
How about that?
Wow, look at you.
How about that? First time in a long time that I ventured out for somebody I didn't know real well. And it was okay. It was pretty nice, pretty decent.
Yeah.
I have kind of stopped for a little while. I mean, you know more than the listeners do that I went on a jig where I was just on a tear, dating everybody for a while. And then I just kind of stopped for a while. The museum stopped me. Let's be honest. The Pinball Palace stopped me for a while. But now that I'm home, I'm like, well, let me maybe venture out a little bit and whatever. And I just have to say, I mean, I had a good time and all. Dude, those first dates are really brutal, aren't they?
They are. It's been a long time since I've been on a first date.
Yeah.
So, and typically I don't really consider myself a guy who goes on dates.
Okay.
Because I'm just sort of past that anymore, because number one, I'm not really looking for a relationship, and number two, I'm not interested in meeting new people. Not really, just not really at all. Because 9 times out of 10, it's a disaster.
Well, I think you've made that very clear over the years. Yes,
absolutely.
I like to meet new people, and I like to get out there and see what's out there, and this was cool. It was. There's something about the uncomfortableness with it, though. There's just an uncomfortableness of learning the person a little bit. It's not a bad thing necessarily, because let's face it, if you are going to quote unquote date, you have to get past it. You have to learn the basics to learn if you want to, talk to the person or not. But man, oh man, it is really, oh, so you work here. What's that like? I feel like fucking Natalie doing an interview with the Exodus.
Sure.
It definitely was kind of, it's awkward in that regard. And I'll tell you what else makes it especially awkward for me, probably not for most people, but just for me. My whole life is online. So it's not like I can really add a whole lot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I can't go and say, yeah, well, well, you work here. Well, guess what? I do this or that, or I wrote this book, or I did what, because every answer is like, oh yeah, I saw that on Facebook. My whole fucking world is on Facebook.
Well, that's because you choose to share your day in, day out activities with the people who choose to follow you, and oftentimes you do have something of a unique perspective to lend out there as a creative person. Be it anywhere from being Chris Aiken, the radio host guy, to being Chris Aiken, the author, to Chris Aiken, the accident survivor, to Chris Aiken, the business owner. So
right.
So you have a lot of facets there that a majority of your average Joes out there don't have to share.
I know, but it always comes off weird too, because one, they always know that, but two, I almost feel like it's intimidating. Like, I get a lot of, not a lot, because I haven't really done a whole lot of first dating in a little while now, but like even on Monday, I got a lot of that, oh, well, I only do blah, 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 whatever she does. And it is definitely like, well, that's not only, that's what you do, But it's weird how it immediately turns almost like into a competition, you know? Like my story's not as big as your story.
Right. Well, yeah, and I get that. Believe me, I do. When I go out to, some of these events that I attend, I get treated a little bit differently, like I'm some kind of a celebrity.
Sure.
And I don't see myself as that. I just see myself as somebody attending an event with all the other people attending the event. But then if I do run into somebody who knows who I am or knows what I do or is familiar with the show, then all of a sudden I'm on a higher plane than they are.
Right.
And that isn't something that I'm comfortable with. And I don't feel that way about myself either. But I know that it exists, and I just accept it, and I just look at it as a compliment and try to blend in.
Yeah, that is very awkward too. When you're out with somebody and somebody comes up to you and just wants to take photos, that is very awkward.
Yeah,
where you're out and I try to be low key when I go out. And it happened literally at the Bonham thing. A month ago or whatever it was that I went and saw Jason Bonham.
Right.
I was out. I was out with Kelly, who I usually kick with, and a guy came up to me and was a CMS fan. And he was like, he was talking about the show or whatever. And meanwhile, I was sort of captured because I was standing in line to get a drink.
Sure.
So it wasn't like I was going to walk away or anything. I just had to stand there and talk to the guy, which is fine. I mean, it was a nice enough guy. But I could see the look that I was getting, like, okay, like almost like a jealousy type of a vibe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was like, well, what do you want me to fucking do? Tell the guy to shoo?
Right.
I mean, this is how I sell books.
Right.
How
exactly.
I fucking spend my Saturday. And,
sure.
And you're right though. It's a very weird, awkward. I would never tell anybody to go away. I would never be a douche about it ever. But because I do appreciate that people like or enjoy the show or think we're funny or informative or dicks or whatever they think, I appreciate that they think about it. But, it's definitely hard to be on common ground. I never until recently understood why celebrities only date celebrities. Because I always thought that would be a burden, to date somebody as famous as you, where you always got a fucking camera going off in your face. But the opposite, where you're known and somebody else is not, is probably more uncomfortable.
Right.
It's definitely weird, and I certainly don't think of myself as famous.
I don't think myself that way either.
It is weird being known. It's like, all right, I wish I was known with the money, but I wish I had famous person money to go with famous person annoyance.
Sure.
But yeah, it is a weird place.
Well, anyway, last year when I went to NAMM, and Bob Nalbandian was kind of my guide, and he was introducing me around and to different people that he knew, and he'd introduced me, as Neely from the Classic Metal Show. It was weird to get the reaction. Oh my God, I download that podcast every week.
Right.
And that happened several times, at NAMM. And I was just like, cool, let me grab a picture real quick. That kind of a thing. It's like, all right, that's cool. So, I'm looking forward to going out there and hanging with Bob this week and being a part of that whole atmosphere and seeing our good friend Nader. I think he's playing a show on Friday night.
Oh, nice.
So we're gonna head over to whatever venue it's at and go check out Nader and probably hang out with them, after the show and whatnot. So it should be fun.
That sounds like a lot of fun, dude. Well, and we'll be here Saturday doing craziness. I'm gonna attempt to do some. Me who's so good with the equipment anyway. Why not fuck it up and try and do 8 people online at the same time, right?
Well, tell the fans kind of what you're attempting to do next week.
Well, what we're going to do for the first 2 hours is we are going to do a podcaster summit sort of a thing, and it's going to be myself. God, now I'm brain dead. Decibel Geek podcast. Aaron and Chris from Decibel Geek are going to be by.
Talk to me.
Victor, who?
Talk to me.
Yeah, Josh Toomey from Talk to Me is going to be on. Victor from Victor Ruiz from Mars Attacks is going to be on. Mark Striegel is going to be on. John is going to be here for some of it from Nerf Herder Council. And we're gonna talk a little. We're not going to get into a geek talk, just so everybody understands. By saying it's a podcaster summit, it is not going to be, so what kind of mics do you use? Oh, the Behringer 143 XJ6. Yeah, it's not going to be that. We're definitely going to tell like war stories and whatnot of dealing with different band people and rock people and whatnot. Oh, right. Joe Cleon is going to be here as well.
Okay.
From Songcast. So it's going to be a lot of people. It's going to be some chaos trying to organize all that and get it to run. But for the first 2 hours of the show next week, we're going to try and do the podcaster summit, and we'll see where it takes us. It might be a humongous abortion for all I know.
Yeah, I hope everybody can keep from talking over each other.
Well, I have a plan for that.
Oh, okay.
I won't get into that right now, but
right.
I am going to have a conference call with everybody on like Wednesday or Thursday. And that was the first thing I thought of, and I am going to absolutely have a plan for that in place.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's not a big secret how we're going to do it. It's the same way me and you do it when we're doing interviews.
Sure.
We'll just have, the messenger, and people, when they want to chime in, they'll message, and, everybody will respect that, hopefully.
Right.
But we'll see how it goes. It should be good. I hope. It might be awful. I hope not.
Well, let's see. You're going to be on the show 9 o'clock, so that's 6 p.m. Pacific. You're going to have the first 2 hours, so that'll be 8 o'clock p.m.
Yeah.
So by that time, once you're finished up, and I'm out there at the NAMM thing, I'm sure that we'll be able to call in and give you an update as to, how the 2 days went, because I'm flying out on Thursday, and then I'm coming home Sunday, so I'll be out there for 2.5 days.
Sure. So, yeah, it's going to be a pretty bizarre show, I think, next week with that many people and you guys calling in, and I'm quite sure now Bandian will end up on the phone at some point, and you said you're going to see Nader, so I'm sure Nader will end up on the show at some point,
right.
And whoever else you run into.
And,
sure
I also want to give thanks to Martin Anderson of Lizzie Borden fame, and he's played with Lynch Mob and whatnot, for hooking me up for passes to get in this thing, because believe me, it was not easy getting this arranged. I honestly didn't think I was going to get to go. But fortunately, they came through for me, and I was able to get a pass, because this is very tight security to get in this. You have to know somebody to get one of these passes, and then even if you do have a pass, in order to get into the venue, you have to have the pass and your ID.
Right.
So you can't just walk in there just because you have a pass. You have to show that the pass belongs to you.
Because undoubtedly there was people shuffling passes last year.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, so anyway, so thanks to Martin Anderson for hooking me up. Hail and Kill, caller, you're on the air.
Hey, Neely, what's up?
What's up with you?
Are you guys having Stephen Piercy on the show tonight?
We're having guests on the show tonight. Stephen Piercy, that is correct.
Is there a time for that?
Yes, there is.
It's an hour and 10 minutes from now. Are you drinking, Matt?
Okay,
Are you drinking, Matt?
How do you know this is Matt?
I can hear you, bro. I know you.
Oh, you guys are good. Yeah, I'm actually just wondering when he's going to be on, because I want to tune in just for that, because I know you guys are going to ask the good questions, and I want to tune in for that, but I can't stay long.
All right, an hour and 10 minutes, Matt. Don't fall asleep.
gonna be a good one. You guys are gonna ask the good questions. I know that.
All right. So I'm glad you have faith in us, Matt.
I think management's calling, Neely. It's time to go.
All right. Well, your producer's calling, Matt. Your publicist says you got to go.
All right, so an hour and 10 minutes, right?
Hour and 10 minutes.
Good.
All right, thanks, guys. Down kill.
There goes
Jesus.
Matt. He's a little drunk.
All right, I think we're going to have to make some kind of a change here, Neely. This is a show change we're going to have to make. I'm going to have to start running the phones. You give these fucking dickwads way too much time.
Yeah, well, I like to see if they fall into some kind of a trap or something, just, well, like last week we had Jeremy on the show.
Yeah, but Jeremy was funny from the start.
Yeah, but, he started off, and because, at first I had doubts, but then then it picked up, and it was a lot of fun. I probably listened to that segment twice this week.
He was pretty funny.
He was great. I read some of the comments on the YouTube.
Yeah.
And, there was one guy, this guy sounds like a backwards hillbilly fuck. And then the other people were just like thinking it was pretty funny and one of the best calls they've heard and stuff. So, everybody's got different take.
Yeah. Your answer was, well, no shit, stupid.
Yeah.
No, he sounds very educated. He sounds Harvard educated, you dickhead.
Sure. So, well, anyway, coming up here in about 5 minutes, we've got Joel MacGyver.
Yes.
Calling in to talk about his new book on Black Sabbath.
Yep.
And so we'll get into a couple of tunes here, and we'll bring Joel on. And later on, we got Stephen Piercy in about an hour or so, and then we got Veronica. And did we have that fourth guest scheduled or not? Yes or no? Or do you
it's
know?
on Veronica. Veronica's running that show.
Oh, okay.
I think so, but I've not passed the phone number to him.
All right. Well, I'll let her handle that then.
Yeah. Text her and say, is that happening? Because I don't know. You know how it goes with Veronica. It's just fucking, it's like throwing everything in a blender.
Yeah, I get you. I get you. All right. Well, I want to play something new from this Armored Saint.
All right.
They got a new EP or live EP out.
Yes.
It's called, what is it called?
Carpe Noctem.
Carpe Noctem.
Yep. All
right. Well, I saw Armored Saint along with Queensryche a few weeks ago, and they were spot on as always. So if you get an opportunity to see Armored Saint, go see them because they're just fantastic. All right. Well, anyway, the new live Armored Saint is out. It is available. I'm going to play Left Hook from Right Field that came off their, what was it, the La Raza?
La Raza.
Yeah, that was off their La Raza release. So let's check this out. This was a highlight for the concert that I saw them at, and fantastic. So here's some brand new Armored Saint exclusively here
on your classic metal show.
Hey, what up, everybody? This is John Bush from Armored Saint, and I wanted to tell you that you're listening to the classic metal show. So if you don't turn it up, you're pussy.